What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live once again for another week of NFL picks. Every game, I pick it straight up and versus the spread. This is going to be a good week. This is a spectacular card of games. I am looking forward to this week. We have like 3 or 4 matchups that are playoff preview type matchups. We have some really good games this week. So I'm looking forward to this week. Last week, man, it was incredibly funny. Of course, I had my guy Thomas from Catch the Blitz on. Shout out to them at Catch the Blitz. And of course, I do my best bets videos every week and did not do well on best bets. The funny thing is, today, before I go on air here, I calculate what my record was last week overall, how I did in the spread picks, how I did in the straight up picks. And I'm going into it thinking I must have not had very good picks last week. Like, I must have sucked last week. I didn't suck last week. You know, let's just look at my pick record. It's actually hilarious when you think about it. But let's look at our pick record from last week. So last week, I went 11-5 picking the games. That's not bad whatsoever, okay? Every team played last week, I think because of Thanksgiving week. And the spread record was 8-7-1, which isn't bad. Still above 500, right? 8-7-1. My best bets sucked. You know, I went 1-4 in my best bets. That sucks. When you consider the rest of my spread picks went, what? I don't know, 7-2? So that's just unbelievable how I just picked all the wrong games to be my best bets. But I guess that happens sometimes. I don't really know how that works out. So that's why you got to watch all the videos here on the channel, because maybe I'll suck on best bets. Maybe I'll suck on picks. But somewhere along the line, I'll be right. So my overall straight up record is 111-68, which I think some of you guys that are in the BLV Pick'em are doing better than me. So congratulations to you guys, because I think there's only one analyst on ESPN that has a better record than me. So we're doing pretty good on the straight up picks. And then as for our spread record, 95-80-4, which is pretty solid. I just want to stay above 500. And if I could get 20 games above 500 versus the spread, I'd be very proud of that, because it's very difficult to pick. But that is our record. That's how we're doing so far this year. If you haven't already, Gronk, spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for weekly NFL picks just like this. And Gronk, spike that notification bell for the latest upload, and to be notified when this video and all other live videos and videos in general drop here on the channel. I have to let you guys know, thank you to all the new members that have signed up. It's been awesome this past month. I have figured it out. I have figured out a way for you guys to sign up on your phones, okay? So just look in the description of this video. You'll click a link, and it will say, become a member of the BLV. Click that link, and you'll be able to sign up through your phone. I've tried it myself. You can do it. So if you are looking to become a BLV member and join the exclusive live stream chats every single Sunday, along with getting the BLV vs. Consensus podcast that is not anywhere else other than for members only, check that out, guys, in the description. But let's waste no more time. You know, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty awesome right now. I hope you guys are feeling great as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Harley Quinn. Shout out to Spunky Boy. Shout out to Big Al. Shout out to Nicholas Gill. Shout out to Marcus Hanna. Shout out to Sing Jimmy, who says, how am I doing? How am I doing, Jimmy? This is how I'm doing, bro.
Feels great, baby.
That's how I'm doing. Feels great, baby. Daniel, how you doing, bro? Deshaun, Big Al says, what's up, people? Gronk, spike the like button and the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel for more NFL content and become a member. By the way, best NFL content on YouTube. Thank you so much, Big Al, for that. And Crypto Jordan says he loves the channel. I believe he's a Ravens fan. I've seen him before. But you're way, way too biased when it comes to the Patriots. Here's the thing, bro. I'm not biased towards the Patriots unless you hate the Patriots. Think about that for a second, okay? Think about it. Shout out to Volcano. Shout out to Jeremy. Let's get into the picks, guys. Let's start off with Thursday night football, as always. Thursday night football, we have the Buffalo Bills traveling to the New England Patriots. And this spread, man, this spread continues to change. It continues to evolve. And I saw this last week at like 5.5. And as a Pats fan, I was nervous of taking 5.5. So I don't know how biased I am, because it feels like all of the money is pouring in on the New England Patriots at home in this divisional contest. Von Miller out for the Buffalo Bills. Left tackle Deion Dawkins out for the Buffalo Bills. New England Patriots will be without Isaiah Wynn in this game and Damian Harris, their running back. Patriots are not favored, Spunky Boy. They are not favored. They are getting 3.5 points. Look, I look at this matchup and I'm going to be cheering on the Patriots. I'm going to be rooting for the Patriots. I really don't know what to expect. Last week, I was very confident in the Patriots going into Minnesota and winning the game. They didn't win the game. Now, little did I know that they were the first team in 170 games to not win that type of game where they score 25 plus points, where they take less than 60 penalty yards, where they don't miss a field goal, where they don't turn the ball over, all this stuff, right? But that's just what happens when you play the Vikings this year. You totally outplay them. Maybe the refs call a different call, and then you end up losing the game. But that's just what happens when you play the Vikings this year. That's just the way the Vikings are playing. But in terms of the Patriots and the Bills, I think this game comes down to how much has Bill Belichick learned from last year. How much has he evolved and how much has this team evolved to face the Buffalo Bills? Because when you look at last year, the Bills dominated the Patriots in 2 matchups. Really, they did dominate the Patriots in the second regular season matchup in New England. I felt like we just couldn't get any stops in that game. We just couldn't get any stops. We couldn't force any punts, and that's exactly what happened. I think we got them on 4th down once, but I don't remember quite exactly. We still had a chance to win that game last year at home in the regular season. We actually had an opportunity where J.C. Jackson dropped a pick at about the 20-yard line. You may remember if you're a Pats fan or a Bills fan. He drops a pick. We probably get that and score and maybe win the game. So even with the Bills never punting in that game, we almost won that game. But our offense, I think, with Josh McDaniels there was a little bit better. I do think defensively we're a little bit better this year. I think we're a little bit more equipped to handle the Bills. And I don't think the Bills are quite the machine that they were last year. I think last year they were more explosive. I think last year their play calling was better. I think last year they had more of a dynamic running game through Josh Allen. I feel like this year they don't really have that Josh Allen element as a designed running quarterback that they did. They rely a lot more on Allen to make plays with his legs through scrambles as opposed to designed runs. I think Daboll has kind of taken that and used that to Daniel Jones. I think their scheme isn't as good. And I think Daboll's knowledge of Belichick was a big deal why they were so good offensively versus the Patriots, because Daboll spent 4 or 5 years in New England as the tight end coach for the Patriots. So he had a very good knowledge of Belichick and of the Patriots. So I think that was a big factor in why they were so dominant versus us last year. I really do. So we'll see how they fare with the new offensive coordinator in this matchup and how the Patriots adjust. I will say in terms of New England, if we roll out Miles Bryant at the nickel spot and we're expecting him to cover Isaiah McKenzie, because I look at this game, I think the Patriots need to play man coverage more than they play zone coverage. I've seen teams be able to play some man coverage against the Bills, but you've got to have the right personnel out there. If we're playing Miles Bryant, who I thought sucked last week against the Vikings, I think we lose. I think we get shredded. He's not covering Isaiah McKenzie. We saw it last year. We saw it last year twice. It's not going to happen We have to put Jack Jones out there. We have to put Marcus Jones out there. And honestly, this game plan is clear as day to me. You have to play 7 defensive backs at like all times. If we're playing linebackers, we're going to lose, bro. If we're playing Jawan Bentley on third down, we're going to lose. Okay? Maybe we can get away with it with Mac Wilson and Raekwon McMillan. They're a little bit quicker. They're a little bit faster, a little bit twitchier athletes in space. But man, we've got to rely on our safeties. We got to be able to play dime personnel. If we go out there and we're trying to play old school Patriots defense, we're going to get shredded just as we did last year. We've got to get faster. If they want to run the ball, they can run the ball. I don't really care. Okay, we got to shut down their passing game. We got to do our best at slowing down Josh Allen and not allowing him to create those big plays from a Patriots fan perspective, okay? Can they do that is the question, and I don't really know. I honestly have no idea. I really don't. Can I see them doing that? Yes, I can see them slowing down the Bills and winning the game. But I could also see them getting shredded at the same time. So I really have no answer. I'm not sure. This is one of these games I just want to wait and see. I have not bet this game. I have no plans to bet this game. Okay? Offensively, it's really going to come down to, because I think the Bills are going to come out here and they're going to challenge our wide receivers. They're going to force Mac Jones to make plays down the field. They're going to force us to throw the ball outside the numbers. They're going to pack the middle of the field. They're going to try to stuff our run. I think the Patriots will be able to run the ball a bit on the Bills. I definitely think they're susceptible in that area a little bit. Just enough, right? We got to stay balanced. But I think I'm worried about Patricia in this game. I'm worried about Patricia. I'm worried about the concepts in the passing game. We need to be able to separate. We need to be able to get open for our quarterback. We need to be able to make plays down the field. I just don't know if we have it. I don't know if we can against Buffalo because of how well they've defended us in the past. And this is Frazier and this is McDermott, who have done a great job against our offense in the past. I felt like Mac played really well in that playoff game. I felt like Kendrick Bourne played really well, but this is a new Kendrick Bourne. Their pass rush won't be as good. Their secondary is definitely beat up. Their secondary isn't as good as last year, I don't think. So maybe we have more of a chance to make some plays in the passing game. It's going to come down to our defense's ability to adjust and our offense's ability to make plays in the passing game. So ultimately, my final decision on this game, I'm going to take the Bills to win, and I'm going to take the Bills to cover. Would I be surprised if the Patriots win the game? No, I wouldn't. They're at home. It's Thursday night. They're coming off a loss. And I do feel like this is a spot where the Bills have not been exactly at their best. And they certainly could turn the ball over like they've been doing. They could certainly not play as well as they're capable of playing. And we could take advantage of that. But honestly, man, I just don't know if this is the greatest matchup for our team. So I am going to take the Bills here to win. And I'm going to take the Bills to cover the game. I don't really understand. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't really understand the movement on the line from 5, 5.5 to 3, 3.5. I don't really see it that way. So that is Thursday. Moving to Sunday. Let's begin with the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans. This is the Deshaun Watson revenge game, I guess you would call it, or the revenge reunion game, maybe the Texans revenge game. I'm not sure how you would put that, or just like good versus evil. I don't know how you would put this, but you've got the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans, and I saw Cleveland find a way to win that game last week against the Tampa Bay Bucks, although it felt like the Bucks were going to win that game like 90% of the time. I am going to say this. I do think Deshaun's going to come out a little bit rusty. I could see him having a slow first quarter. I could see the offense having a slow first quarter. But the ability for the Browns to run the ball, they're going to be able to lean on that. I think fall back on that if Watson isn't playing to his ability, because he hasn't played in like 2 years. So it's been a long time. But I do think the Browns will be able to lean on the running game, run the football versus one of the worst run defenses in football with Nick Chubb. So that will allow some, flexibility if Deshaun's not playing at his best. But On the other side of the ball, I just have no confidence in the Texans' ability to do much of anything in the passing game with Kyle Allen at quarterback. I could see the Texans maybe having some success running the ball against the Browns, as most teams have been able to run the ball against the Browns. I could see some sort of shift in energy, some shift in mentality for the Texans a little bit, just because of the whole Deshaun Watson factor. They're not going to want to be embarrassed in this game, and there are still some players in that building that maybe feel some sort of way, so they're going to fight extra hard, you would think. A team that really hasn't been fighting very hard as of late. So I would just be aware of that if you're planning on betting this game. I just think there's too many variables in terms of potential rust, in terms of chemistry between Watson and his playmakers, the Texans' motivation factor, the Texans at home, the potential rowdy crowd that could exist. I think there's too many factors to be on one side or the other for betting this game. But I am going to pick the Browns to win and to cover, just because I think they're ultimately the better team, just because I think they'll be able to run the ball, and I think eventually their pass rush will be able to come through and make some plays in the fourth quarter. I just don't expect Kyle Allen to be able to make that many throws in this game. So give me the Browns to win and the Browns to cover, but I'm not going out of my way to bet this game. The next game on Sunday is the Tennessee Titans and the Philadelphia Eagles. This game has the Eagles favored by 5.5, depending on where you are betting. I gave this bet out as a best bet at -5 +5 for the Tennessee Titans. And I stand by that. I said on Patreon, I gave it out to you guys at 6.5, +6.5 for the Titans. Obviously, the line has moved in favor of Tennessee, as bettors are backing Mike Vrabel as an underdog. No surprise there. As I've said it once, I'll say it again. Mike Vrabel has been the most profitable underdog since becoming a head coach in the NFL, with an above 500 record as an underdog. So, Mike Vrabel plays the Philadelphia Eagles here in Philadelphia, and I like the matchup for the Titans to keep this one close. As I stated, there's two things that the Titans do very well. They stop the run, and they run the ball. And that's two areas that if you want to play close against the Eagles, you have to be able to be proficient in. You have to be successful in. And the Eagles, with their six-back offense, having Jalen Hurts heavily involved in the rushing attack, you have to be able to contain that. You have to be able to set the edge, and you have to be able to track him down in space. I think the Titans will have a nice game plan defensively to force Jalen Hurts to be uncomfortable and do things that maybe he's not exactly the best in. I think that the Titans defense is going to be prepared for the Eagles offense, and I think the Eagles are going to have to rely a little bit more on their passing game in this one, leaning a little bit more on some matchups with their wide receivers taking on the Titans corners. I definitely think that is going to be the way that the Eagles are going to have to move the ball, is drop back pass, throwing the ball, and specifically Jalen Hurts outside the numbers making plays, and him potentially scrambling around to convert third downs. I do think the Eagles can have some success doing that, but I definitely feel this Titans defense is one of the top defenses they faced all year. And speaking of teams, this is one of the best teams they've faced all year. The Eagles have faced a JV schedule. They've faced a poor, piss-poor, monkey-piss schedule. And I feel like this is going to be a little bit more of a tougher matchup here. On the other side of the ball, you've got the Tennessee Titans offense that Derrick Henry has not exactly looked his best. I didn't think he played great against the Bengals, but for whatever reason, the Bengals, when they have DJ Reader in there, do a phenomenal job of defending Derrick Henry. And I just don't think the Eagles will be able to do the same thing in this matchup. Jordan Davis is expected to come back soon, but I don't think he's going to be back for this matchup. Big loss for them in run defense, as they're bottom 5 against the run this year. So I expect Derrick Henry to run the football a little bit, which helps balance out their offense. But I feel a lot of people are a little bit underrating Ryan Tannehill and his ability to pass the ball, and these receivers that I think are playing better and better and better with every game and every week. Westbrook-Akine makes plays. Hooper makes plays. Burks is starting to make plays. Hilliard makes plays out of the backfield. I think they got a little bit more going in their third down passing game and their drop back passing game than people think. I think a lot of people think this is only a run offense. That was maybe early in the year. They've figured some things out. They've been better. So I think the Eagles have a test on both sides of the ball. I think this game is close. I think this game goes down to the wire. I am going to pick the Eagles because they're at home, and I do think that Jalen Hurts' ability to convert third downs with his legs scrambling is going to be a bit of a backbreaker for the Titans, the way that Mahomes and Burrow were able to overcome that. I also think the Eagles have enough at wide receiver to be able to make plays in the passing game. But I would not be shocked whatsoever if the Titans went to Philadelphia and won this game. I wouldn't be. And this was, in fact, the game that I said before Washington happened, before that loss happened, I thought this would be the game where maybe the Eagles would drop it, because this is a matchup that I do think is a tough one for the Eagles. So I've got the Eagles by about a field goal in this game, but I am going to take the points in the matchup. Next up, we've got the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you do Gronk. Spike that like button. Share this video. Don't forget to follow me on all the social media platforms. Links are all in the description for everything that I'm doing across the board. Whether you want to be following me on Twitter for my tweets, whether you want to follow the Instagram, the TikTok, or you want to support me on Patreon, check out all the links in the description. Okay, so Green Bay minus 4.5 in this game. Green Bay is favored. Aaron Rodgers expected to play, as he said that he expects himself to play. Justin Fields, questionable. Not sure if he's going to play. Seen this line at 4, seen this line at 4.5. The line doesn't make sense to me at all if Justin Fields is not playing. So that kind of leads me to believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to play and Justin Fields is going to play. Because I don't think that this line should be 4.5 if Justin Fields is not playing. Because this team is just drastically a different team without Justin Fields. Maybe the books are waiting for him to be officially ruled out. But to me, I just don't see how the Bears could play him in this game. I mean, they have no chance for the playoffs. He has a separated shoulder, non-throwing shoulder, but a separated shoulder nonetheless. If he's not 100%, you don't risk a separated shoulder because it only gets worse. And with separated shoulders, they come back to haunt you over time. I've seen guys have separated shoulders, and man, like they have one in their life, and then they all of a sudden it just snowballs, and they get 2, and they get 3, and they get 4. So it's just an easy injury to re-injure. It's like a concussion, right? So I feel like playing Fields would be a bad idea if he's not 110%, because you don't want to risk the future of your franchise on some meaningless game, even if it is against the Packers, okay? They hate the Packers. So the Bears hate the Packers. And I know Nicholas Gill is going to tell me about some stat that's 1,000 years old that matters, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. The Packers are favored by 4.5. And I think they should cover. I think they should win, assuming that Aaron Rodgers plays. I like the Packers here. I think they run the ball all over the Bears. The Bears defense, since losing Roquan Smith, has been one of the worst, if not the worst defense in football. They're right there with the Texans. They're right there with the Raiders in terms of the worst defense in football. They can't stop the run. When the Packers are able to run the ball, they're able to move the ball, they're able to score points, right? Aaron Jones is able to make some big plays. A.J. Dillon makes some big plays, and that opens things up for their play action. Plays to Randall Cobb, to Christian Watson, to Allen Lazard. I'll continue to say, I'm not sure why Allen Lazard continues to have 11, 10 targets a game when Christian Watson can take any catch to the house. I think his targets need to get up, and I think Lazard's need to go down, but that's just me personally. Defensively, Joe Barry is an absolute disaster. We know this, but I think this is where I think my opinion would change a little bit on this game. If Fields is 100% and he's playing, I do think the Bears have the opportunity against Joe Barry's defense to really expose their inability to defend that running game of the quarterback, just as Jalen Hurts was able to expose it. And I think the Bears score some points and keep it somewhat close. I still lean towards the Packers. But if they have that drop back passer, Trevor Siemian type in the game, I think there's no chance they win because they don't have that dimension of their offense, and they're just not a good offense without that dimension because they've put so much of their eggs in that basket to be successful, and they don't have Darnell Mooney now, and they've lost Eddie Jackson on defense. So I like the Packers to win. I like the Packers to cover. It's kind of a difficult one because of the quarterback situation, but I'm going to lean towards the Packers no matter who they play at quarterback, and I'm going to lean towards the Packers no matter who the Bears play at quarterback. That's going to be the call for this game. Next, we have the Denver Broncos at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 9 in this game, and you have to be absolutely high or drunk or both if you think I'm going to come on here public live on the BLV and profess and confess that I am going to take the Denver Broncos. You must be high, you must be drunk, you must be taking Harley Quinn's edibles. I'm not sure what you're doing, but I am not taking the Denver Broncos. I'm not taking them with points. I'm not taking them to win. I don't care, okay? I am taking the Ravens. I understand that the Ravens very well may win this game 13-10, and I may lose because the Broncos defense is nice. I'm not betting this game. I'm not taking the Ravens except in some teasers potentially or money line plays because I think they win the game. I'm not so sure about the spread. 9, 8, 8.5 is a lot of points, okay, for the Ravens to cover when their offense isn't playing that well, especially against a good above average defense, a top 10 defense in Denver, maybe a top 5 defense. The Broncos have had a little bit of a susceptibility against the run this year, but the Broncos are so bad offensively that the Ravens could struggle on offense. They could score 20 points in this game and still cover because the Broncos score 10. I mean, I'm not sold that the Broncos could score 14 points on the Georgia Bulldogs. I really don't. I have no confidence that the Denver Broncos can score points on a CFL team. So I have to say that I've got the Baltimore Ravens to win and I've got the Baltimore Ravens to cover. I'm just not going to put myself through wanting and pulling for the Russell Wilson Broncos to score points because Russell Wilson is a disaster. Commentary teams across the NFL will not admit it, but he's terrible. Please just start talking about it. I don't understand why they don't want to just tell us on the broadcast that he sucks. Please just tell us that he sucks. Everybody can see it. Big Al can see it. Caesar can see it. The entire world can see it. He sucks. Just say it. Okay. Next. We've got the Jacksonville Jags at the Detroit Lions. I've seen this spread at 1. I've seen it at 1.5. And this game, when I really thought about it, I looked at the game and I was like, just blank. I had no idea what I was going to pick. I had no idea what to even think. And then I started to think about it. And I just said to myself, let's think about fundamentals, okay? So I've got Jacksonville. What do I got in Jacksonville? What do I have in Detroit? Okay, so Detroit can run the ball. So can Jacksonville. Travis Etienne, JaMychal Hasty. Doesn't really matter. They run the ball. Jamal Swift, DeAndre Swift. Jamal Swift. Yeah, Jamal Swift. Let's go with that. They can run the ball in Detroit. Offensive line for the Lions is better. Jacksonville's isn't quite as good. Quarterback, we'll get to that in a second. Defensively, they both are kind of inconsistent. I don't really know what to expect. I'd slightly lean towards Jacksonville. They're more athletic. They make more plays, but I think Detroit's defense has been playing better as of late. So I think about the fundamentals in this game. I think both teams are going to score points. I think this game is bound to be close because it's the Jags versus the Lions. I mean, come on. This is going to be decided by a field goal. So the spread makes a lot of sense. It's in a dome. So at the end of the day, who am I going to go with? Well, let's think about two places that teams win football games. Quarterback and coach. So when I think about quarterback and coach, which quarterback's going to make more big-time plays and throws in this game or is more capable of doing so? That answer would be Trevor Lawrence. Which coach is going to make better decisions in game management? Which coach is going to go for it when he needs to go for it, kick when he needs to kick? Which guy is proven to be a champion and which guy has not? Well, the answer is Doug Peterson. So at the end of the day, I'm going with Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson to beat Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. Could the Lions win this game? Yeah, they could, but I'm going to go with the fundamental of the coach and the quarterback to win the game. Jacksonville. Next, the Jets at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are favored by 3. I am picking the Jets to cover, and I am picking the Jets to win the damn game. Everybody is talking about Mike White like he didn't just go out there and look like the next coming of Joe Namath. I mean, the man looked like Joe Namath in his prime with the fur coat, in the elements. The man is soon to be in Hollywood making movies. Okay, just like Broadway Joe. So, the New York Jets, they've got a pass rush. They're fierce front seven. They stop the run. They've got a very talented and honestly underrated secondary. This is one of the best defenses in football. They're going to find a way to slow down and pressure Kirk Cousins. Specifically, Quinnen Williams. That boy is a beast. Watch out for him in this game. And then on the other side of the football, you got Mike White. Mac Jones had 380 yards against this Vikings piss-poor defense. I think Mike White, he just makes his plays. He just dips, he dunks, he dinks, he dunks, and he gets the ball to his playmakers. He's efficient, and he stays on schedule. I think the Jets win the game because the Vikings, they're all high and mighty. Yippee-ki-yay, they beat the Patriots by some referee call. I've got the Jets. I believe in the coin. I've got the Jets here. I like the matchup. Next. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Atlanta Falcons. It's a pick'em. I have no idea who's going to win this game. I really have no flippin' idea, okay? I don't. I have no idea. Okay, so I want to pick the Atlanta Falcons, right? Because Atlanta has more to play for here. Atlanta has a division to play for. Atlanta has playoff hopes to play for. Atlanta's at home. Atlanta could have easily beat Washington. I think Washington is a fairly similar team to Pittsburgh in a lot of ways. Strong front seven, kind of weak secondary, old school mentality head coaches, quarterbacks that are kind of like less than skill, talent, strong. Like, I feel like Atlanta played Washington really well, could have won the game at the end. Atlanta just finds a way to run the ball on everybody. Will they do that against Pittsburgh? I think they'll do it to some success. I don't know if they'll be able to run all over Pittsburgh. A lot of people are picking Pittsburgh here, and I'm not betting it. I'm going nowhere near the game personally. I just do not have any feel on Marcus Mariota or Kenny Pickett. I just, from week to week, I just don't know, okay? But I'm going to pick Atlanta just because they're at home and they've got more to play for. I really like how Arthur Smith is coaching this team. And I like Kenny Pickett. I like how he's playing. But I don't know, man. I think Atlanta limits turnovers. And I think that limits the opportunity for Pittsburgh to take advantage and win this game and get in the game script that they want to get in, which is what happened last week. Colts are susceptible to turning the ball over. Colts are going to take sacks. The Falcons don't take sacks. The Falcons are good at minimizing the impact of an opposing front seven. I think Atlanta does that. I think Atlanta wins the game, but I don't really know, man. Who knows? Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. Everything in like my betting body tells me to take the Giants here. And I probably will have the Giants in some teasers, but I can't trust the Giants to win this game because the Giants have just been like downhill. They have been playing like utter booty. I mean, they are terrible right now. I don't think the Giants, everybody's ranking the Giants as like the 14th, 15th best team in the NFL. I don't know what you guys are watching, to be honest with you. The Giants look terrible the last 2 weeks. They're terrible. Like, they've lost wide receivers. They've lost offensive linemen. They've lost cornerbacks. Now, if you tell me that these guys are going to come back and the Giants are going to get healthier, maybe I changed my mind here. Washington definitely going to come back down to earth at some point, but they've won like 6 or 7 games. They play really well against the run most of the time. The Giants have not been able to get a push up front with their offensive line running the ball with Saquon Barkley. I don't think they do that in this game. Maybe Daniel Jones is able to run the ball a bit against Washington. He's had success in the past doing so, but they don't got a lot of threats in the passing game either. I respect Brian Daboll. I think Ron Rivera, though, has really figured out what this team is, and both these teams want to take this game to the fourth quarter. The 2.5 points might be valuable here. Like, this might be one of those rare games where Washington covers, but the Giants cover, but Washington wins. Like, I could easily see Washington winning the game like 17-16. I could see Washington winning the game like 20, like 19-17, something to that degree. I could see like a 2-point game here. That is a really tough thing to ask, though. Like, it's really hard to call a 2.5 point spread and split your pick both ways. So I'm going to lean towards Washington, just because I think they're playing better football. It's really that simple. They're playing better football. They're playing better at the line of scrimmage. The Giants have had a tough time stopping the run against most of the NFL lately. Their corners are not there. Their receivers are not there. And as long as I think Heineken doesn't turn the ball over multiple times, I think Washington wins this game. So I'm going to take Washington. I just think they're playing better, man. I want to pick the Giants. I just can't. Next, we've got the Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers. I think a lot of people are on the Dolphins in this game, and it does make sense. Miami going to San Francisco here, that is a tough travel, but you've got a coach that's familiar with Shanahan and this team and this skill position group. Mike McDaniel knows this team well. Wesley Welker knows this team well. And the Dolphins know the Niners, right? And they know the run game. They know the scheme. So I think there's a lot of familiarity there. But there's also familiarity on the other side, right? Shanahan has proven that if you put him up against anybody that knows his offense and knows his style of play, he beats them. You think about the coaches that run his style of offense, run his scheme. You think about LaFleur's. You think about McVay. You think about all these guys that have basically stolen Kyle Shanahan's lyrics and taken them to other locations. And Shanahan has always had a way of beating those guys. So I think that is not being discussed enough. The other area that I think will decide this game is the Niners pass rush versus the Dolphins pass blocking unit. And where it's going to be very important for Miami is their early down success throwing the ball. Miami is going to have to be very efficient in their bubble screens, their RPOs, and their ability to get the ball out quick. I think they're going to have to execute a very Chiefs style of attack that the Chiefs showcased against the Niners early this year. You can't get in 3rd and longs against the Niners. You can't get in 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 7s even. You can't get in those situations. You can't even get in 2nd and longs. Or else you're in trouble, because this isn't the Chiefs' offensive line. A Dolphins offensive line that's without Teron Armstead. A Dolphins offensive line that has 2 tackles that are not very good. And they're facing Nick Bosa. They're facing one of the best pass rushing units in football. Maybe Eric Armstead back this week. And I think the Niners dominate that facet. If this game gets to third down and long, the Niners have the advantage. Okay? So can the Dolphins run it at all? Can the Dolphins get that quick passing game going to stay out of those situations is crucial. On the other side, I think the Dolphins will do a fairly good job of defending the run against the Niners. I understand that this type of defensive scheme isn't usually the one that you would pick to defend the wide zone attack of Shanahan, as typically, these style of defenses, almost the Patriot-esque style of Boyer, would not be the type of defense that you would want to roll out. But I think McDaniel's expertise of understanding how to defend it will come in handy here at doing a good job of slowing down the run. So I do think that Garoppolo is going to have some pressure on him to make a lot of throws against man coverage. But my problem with that for Miami is, how do you cover all these playmakers in man consistently? Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, even Jawan Jennings. It's going to be difficult. On paper, that would be the way that you would defend them, because you want to force tight window, throws down the field versus Jimmy Garoppolo. But I just don't know if Miami has enough in the secondary and at linebacker to be able to cover all these players. George Kittle, McCaffrey out of the backfield if he's good to go. So I like the Niners in this game. I just feel like I see more ways that the Niners win this game. I think they win this game through their pass rush. I think they win this game through their passing game. I think that their speed on defense does an effective job of slowing down the yards after catch of the Dolphins. So I like this. I like the Niners to win, and I think they'll win by about a touchdown. So I'm going to take them to cover. I know that's going to be a bit controversial and a bit against the grain, but I'm going to take the Niners in this game. I think they are the better team, and I think the matchup will be fascinating, though. This will be a great game. The next game is the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. If you haven't already, Gronk, spike that like button. The Seattle Seahawks favored by 7.5. Let's keep this one short and sweet. No Matthew Stafford, no Cooper Kupp, no Aaron Donald, no chance. Give me the Seattle Seahawks to win, the Seattle Seahawks to cover. I will say the contrarian play here would be to take the Rams with the points, because the Rams, maybe with a quarterback that can run, can open up the run game and can run the ball in Seattle, who haven't been able to stop the run. We saw that last week against Josh Jacobs. But the Rams have shown me no propensity, no ability to be able to run the ball this year. They are a historically bad run unit, so I don't expect that to change. So give me the Seahawks to win. Give me the Seahawks to cover. The Seahawks need a win here if they're going to make the playoffs. So give me Seattle. Short, sweet, simple. Next. This might be the game of the week, maybe the game of the rest of the season. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. These two teams played last year twice. Of course, this is the rematch of the AFC Championship, but people are neglecting the first matchup of Jamar Chase having like a unbelievable game. And the Bengals ended up winning that game. Both matchups they won. Both of them were very similar. The Chiefs got up early, the Bengals surged back, and the Bengals won. It looked like the Chiefs were going to win both games. The Chiefs' offense pissed down their leg, and the Bengals came back and won. And this game is going to be interesting. I could see both teams winning. I could see the Chiefs winning for the revenge factor. I could see the Bengals winning due to the matchup and the history. This game is in Cincinnati, which I think is extremely beneficial because you don't have to go to Arrowhead, which I do think hurts teams when they have to go to Arrowhead when they're passing teams because of the communication at the offensive line, at the line of scrimmage. I think that noise does play a factor. I like Cincinnati. I understand. I'm not going to bet this game. The only way I would consider betting this game is if you took them in a teaser. But I like Cincinnati because of similar reasons to why I like the Chargers against the Chiefs. Offensively, I just think that the amount that the Chiefs like to be aggressive, I just don't think does well at playing against the Bengals. Like, I feel like the Bengals are good when you play that man coverage style and you're blitzing a lot. So when you're trying to blitz this team and you're blitzing Joe Burrow and you're giving one-on-one opportunities down the sidelines against less than stellar corners, right? The Chiefs don't have very good cornerbacks. I think this has been an area that has been exposed very little this year. There were a few matchups that we've seen it. The Bills, the Bucks even, but it's kind of been few and far between. There haven't been that many quarterbacks and receiving cores that have actually taken it to the Chiefs. The Chargers did, but the Chiefs have a tough time with vertical passing games that can win jump balls and can just bully you on the outside because they're designed to play physical press man coverage and blitz the quarterback. And I just don't think that works very effectively versus Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, even Hayden Hurst. And you've got Joe Burrow, who's playing great. I just feel like the Bengals are hitting their stride offensively. And when I watched that game against Tennessee last week, it's not like Tennessee was playing bad defense. It was just that there was a few plays in the game that were just indefensible. And Burrow makes these throws and these receivers make these plays where they just gain body position and they make big plays. It's similar to how Mike Williams plays against the Chiefs. Like, he always has a big game against the Chiefs because he's a big target. He goes up, he snatches the ball for big plays. And I think the Bengals have that capacity to be able to go score for score, play for play with the Chiefs. On top of that, you've got a very smart coordinator in a way that the Chargers don't have, right? You've got a coordinator, Lou Armadillo, Armarillo, the boy, big game Lou, and he's had this little game plan wrinkle of the 3-man rush, the drop the 8, that's given Mahomes issues. It's given him nightmares. It's made him piss down his leg multiple times. They also do a decent job at slowing down Kelsey in key situations. I do think the Chiefs will move the ball. I do think they'll get it out quick. I think you could see a big game from one of these receivers. Maybe Valdez-Scantling is that guy that makes some plays in this game. He's been quiet. Maybe Juju, but I think one of these receivers has a big game. I think the Bengals are going to force the Chiefs to run the ball a lot and kind of funnel them into running the ball. And I think with DJ Reader in there now, the Bengals are just much better at stopping the run. And they don't have to commit that many assets to doing so against a team like Kansas City. Right? They're very good at game planning on defense, and I think that comes into play in this game. So I like Cincinnati. I think there's a lot of history backing Cincinnati. I think the matchup backs Cincinnati, the home field. Could I see the Chiefs winning? Yeah, I absolutely could. I could see Mahomes having a big day, similarly to how he has in like the first 3 quarters of the last 2 matchups. But for whatever reason, when the chips have been down in these games, Burrow has outplayed Mahomes and the Bengals have outplayed the Chiefs. But I think the biggest difference for me why I'm taking the Bengals is how the Bengals defense prepares and plans for the Chiefs and how the Chiefs defense matches up with the Bengals offense. I think the Bengals offense just has a good matchup against Spagnuolo's unit. So I'm going to take the Bengals here. Next up, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are at home. The Chargers are favored by 1.5. The spread began, I believe, at 3 and then went down quickly to 2.5, and it was at 2.5 for a while before dipping back down to 1 and then 1.5. So there's been a little bit of a buyback, but not much. Most of the money is coming in on the Raiders, and it's, I think, for simple reason here. The Chargers are one of the worst run defenses I've ever seen in my life, and they're facing Josh Jacobs. I don't know if you guys have been watching Josh Jacobs this year, but he's been a little difficult to stop. So just looking at some of the stats that the Chiefs have allowed the Chargers have allowed run defense-wise since Joey Bosa has been out. So before Joey Bosa was injured, They allowed 64 yards rushing and 93 yards rushing. After Joey Bosa got injured, they have allowed 151 yards, 131, 213, 98, which is the only game below 100, 213, 201, 157, 163, 181. That is insane. Multiple games over 200, multiple games over 150 rushing the football. And when you do that, it's just so hard to gain control of the game. When a team can consistently run the rock against you, it is so tough to win the game. So I look at this matchup. The Raiders won both last year. The Chargers won the game earlier this year. And I discussed that in my best bets. The Chargers were at home for that game, although that was not really a home game when you have more Raiders fans in Los Angeles than Chargers fans. But the Carr threw 3 picks. It was his first game in the system under McDaniels. The Chargers did have their left tackle. The Chargers did have their primary pass rusher, Joey Bosa. They don't have those guys now. Mike Williams being back would definitely scare me in this matchup, because I think the Chargers will be able to move the ball through the air. The Raiders have a bad defense. I think this game is going to look a lot like the Seahawks game last week. I think Herbert's going to have his way with some short passes, moving the ball up and down the field. But I do think that occasionally Max Crosby and this pass rush is going to come through, because there's a susceptibility at tackle for the Chargers, playing both their backups at left and right tackle, and there's some injuries on the offensive line. So I could see Crosby having a couple sacks here in key spots. I also don't love the Chargers' ability to run the ball that effectively. They're just much a Justin Herbert or nothing type of team, and I think that eventually comes back to bite them in the butt here. I think the Raiders at home, that's big. I think Vegas has a real home field advantage. I think their crowd is real electric, especially in these type of games. We saw that late last year when it was decided in overtime last year. I think the Raiders run the ball. I think Josh McDaniels gets in his I formation. I think Jakob Johnson smashes these little men in the face. I think they run for 200 yards. I think Devontae Adams has a big game. And I think Derek Carr minimizes the interceptions, and the Raiders win the game at home. So that is my pick for the Raiders and the Chargers. Look out. If the Raiders win this game, they might make a little bit of a push here at the end of the year, because they then play the Rams after that. So they could get a little bit closer to 500. The Sunday night football game is the Indianapolis Colts at the Dallas Cowboys. The Colts are getting 11 in this game, and for me, that's just too many points for any team that is on the level of the Colts. The Colts are not a terrible team by any means. They're not a bottom 5 team. If this was the Texans, if this was the Broncos, if this was the Saints or Panthers, maybe I go with the Cowboys here. But the Colts have too much talent to be getting 11 points. I understand the Cowboys are a really good team, and I'm really high on the Cowboys, but it's just too many. It's just too many points. I mean, I'm going to take the points. I think the Colts defense is pretty strong, especially if they get Kwity Paye back. I think they can do a effective job at slowing down Zeke and Tony Pollard. And I still do question a little bit Dak Prescott's ability to throw when his run game isn't really much of the, isn't having as much success as usual. I think we've seen Dallas play some pretty bad defenses out as of late and be able to execute because of that. We've seen them play the Giants. We've seen them play the Vikings. We've seen them beat up on some bad defenses. This is not a bad defense. This is above average defense. You've got Gilmore out there. You've got Kenny Moore out there. You've got a DeForest Buckner out there. So this is going to be a bigger challenge for the Cowboys offense than they've seen as of late. And then on the other side, I think that the one weakness that you could say that maybe exists for the Cowboys is run defense. And Jonathan Taylor, I think, can run the ball a bit in this game and keep Matt Ryan in manageable situations where he's not getting lit up through the pass rush of the Cowboys. If the Cowboys do cover, it's because their pass rush takes over and they win this game because of turnovers by Matt Ryan. If the Colts are close in this game, it's because they run the ball and they stop the run. So I'm going to take the 11 points. I just think it's too many points for the Cowboys to cover here. And the final game is Monday Night Football, the New Orleans Saints versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At the beginning of the week, when I was super depressed about the Bucs, I was like, the Saints are going to win outright. The Saints, I'm going to take them with the points. Don't get me wrong, I'm still taking the Saints +4. I think 4 is too many points for basically any NFL team against the Bucs. The Bucs have not proven to me that they can cover that many spreads this year, even of 4 or 3. But this is a Saints team that traditionally plays the Bucs offense really, really well. The only reason I'm not picking the Saints to win the game, I have no faith in their offense. Zero faith in their offense. I have zero faith in their ability to run the ball. I have zero faith in Andy Dalton on primetime. They have one receiver that is good. That's it. So I have no faith in the Saints to score more than 10. 10 is asking a lot. They scored 0 against the Niners, and they have a lot of issues in the red zone. The Bucs, though, I think the real thing that if the Bucs lose, I think it's going to be because they miss Tristan Wirfs. I think if the Bucs lose, it's because the loss of Tristan Wirfs is insurmountable and they can't protect Tom Brady. I think that's the biggest reason that they lose this game. But I do think that Chris Godwin looked a lot healthier against the Browns. I think they blew that game more than the Browns won it. So I think they look at that a little bit angry in a big spot on Monday night to bounce back, still realizing they can win this division. I think there is some motivation there. The Saints don't have quite that same motivation other than just rivalry here. I think Lattimore's playing, so there probably will be a fight between Evans and Lattimore at some time in the game. But I do think Julio and Godwin are going to have to step up big in this game for the Bucs to win. Remember, the Bucs did beat the Saints earlier this year in New Orleans without Evans, Godwin, and Julio. So if the Bucs can do that, I think they can win this game. But I've got the Bucs to win. I'm still going to take the points with the Saints, though. I just think it's too many points in this rivalry game. Two teams that know each other extremely well. Two teams that play nasty, gritty, tough football. I think this is low scoring. I think this comes down to a field goal. I think this comes down to last possession. So give me the points with the Saints, but give me the Bucs to win. They need it more, and I think Brady finds a way over Andy Dalton on primetime. There you guys have it. Those are my picks for week number 13 of the 2022 NFL season. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Gronk, spike the notification bell if you haven't already. And I do want to say, last thing, shout out to Owner's Box Fantasy. If you guys haven't already signed up to Owner's Box Fantasy, please use the link in the description. It is absolutely free, and they are offering an amazing deal, an amazing package right now, a 100% deposit match up to $500. So when you sign up, use that sign up link in the description or at the top of the pinned comment in the live comment section or in the comment section below. Use the referral code BLV, and you'll get some exclusive perks for that, and you'll also get this 100% deposit match. So sign up to Owner's Box Fantasy Sports right now. They also have a very slick and very easy to use app that you can download on the App Store. Check them out, guys. They're a nice Canadian company. I know the guys, so make sure to sign up. Use the referral code BLV. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for Gronk spiking the like button. We will see you soon. More content coming out your way. Peace.